Weird day here today. The Nasdaq has rebounded from a huge low to start the day to going to the positive of almost 1%. It is now it's up about 0.3%, and the Dow was down about 1%. And guys, look at this. In other days when I've shown big red, it's been big red in the Magnificent Seven, all the big companies, and green all around. Look right here. Financial, basically everything in financials is red. Look at how incredible this is. Nvidia was down to 110 today. It's up 4.5%. Microsoft's up, Apple's up, Amazon's up, Google's up almost 4% today. Look at all this red here on out. Netflix up 1.23%, Meta down 0.9%. Now, guys, year to date, Magnificent Seven is not doing well. It was down over 10% as of this morning. Obviously, it's rebounded quite a bit as of right now, but this is weird times here. We have this big fluctuation. Yesterday, I was surprised. I was watching the market. I'm like, oh, it's down about 1%. I went and did some things. All of a sudden, 330 rolls around. I see it's down 2.5%. The Nasdaq was. I was like, holy cow, what the heck happened here? This kind of volatility can be scary. Remember, just because something's down 2% doesn't make it cheap. It makes it cheaper, but doesn't make it cheap. You've got to remember the difference there. Just because something was selling for, a house was selling for 10 million before, if it goes for 5 million, that doesn't make it worthwhile. It's cheaper. It doesn't make it cheap. If that was the case, everybody in the world who sold their home would just ask $100 million for it and then discount it 95% to $5 million, even though the home was worth $500,000. I want you to remember these things when you buy stocks and you buy any sort of investment. I want you to remember that cheaper does not mean cheap. 2% decline does not mean buy the dip. Doesn't mean you should stop buying. If you're dollar cost averaging into low cost ETFs, continue on that plan. If you're buying individual companies, please be cautious when buying. Now, you might sit there and say, well, Paul, the market's overpriced like you always say. Why would I buy any stocks? Good question. Now, we just don't know when the market's going to bottom out. And I have seen stocks before that were overvalued and they just kept going and going and going and going. And yes, they were always overvalued, but the fundamentals continued to get better. And now, guys, just like that, Nasdaq's coming back down here. It was literally up 0.8% about 30 minutes ago. Now it's almost getting back to even. The Dow is down 1.2%. The S&P down 0.8%. I've said this before. We made a video where I picked 7 of my own stocks that I think will outperform the market and beat the Magnificent Seven. And spoiler alert, as of this morning, it was about 12% ahead of the Magnificent Seven and several percentage points ahead above the S&P and the Nasdaq. But remember, this is not about the short run. It's about the long run. And there were times earlier this year when I was lagging those other metrics. I believe paying a reasonable price for these companies is what works in the long run. Now, let's talk about all the idiots out there who love Bitcoin. Trump came out and said we're going to do a crypto reserve. What happened? Bitcoin went up 10%. By the end of the day, it was back down to normal. And then all the crypto bros were pissed because he added crypto in there that wasn't real crypto. These idiots don't realize that Bitcoin's the only real currency and all the other ones are just fake and stupid. I love when I read these people saying, God, how dumb you have to be to think any other crypto besides Bitcoin is not the real thing. It's like, oh God. You know, it's like, here's my analogy. It's like O.J. Simpson criticizing Charles Manson for being a bad person because he murders people. It's so stupid when I see Bitcoin bros making fun of all the idiots who like all the other crypto. It is so hilarious to me. Talk about the blind leading the blind. These stupid morons out there who think that their digital currency is some sort of real asset based on today. So stupid, but that's okay. I guess I remember the last time that when all the dumb masses were all in favor of something, what did Michael Saylor came out today and said, or yesterday, it'll be the Bitcoin will be a $200 trillion market cap someday. And I'm like, okay, maybe it could happen, but what would have to happen for that to happen? The current U.S. economy is about $30 trillion. So he's saying it's going to be about 6 to 7 times bigger than the current U.S. economy. When? Maybe, but it would have to surpass literally, I think it's bigger than the world economy. Isn't the world economy like 100 trillion? I don't know what the exact world economy is, but, and again, that could be way down the road. But I don't look at crypto as an investment, just like I don't look at the dollar as an investment. I do not believe that the dollar is an investable asset. I believe it's a currency that's used and people can trade it and make bets on it, but it doesn't mean it's an investable asset. That's the difference. Now, obviously prices have been up on crypto a lot. So therefore, people say, see, Paul, you're wrong. I get it. 100% get it. Let me remind everybody that Michael Saylor is also the idiot whose company went down 99.99% because he bet everything on the dot-com burst. I mean, the dot-com era. I mean, maybe he's changed. I changed from that time. Of course he's changed. Doesn't sound like it, though. And I'm not going to lie to you. They keep on taking debt to buy more and more Bitcoin. Taking on debt to buy more. And guys, just like that, Nasdaq is down 0.37. Wow. In the time we've started this video to going down, the Nasdaq has fallen now about 0.7. 0.7, guys. That's not something to scoff at in a matter of minutes. Markets are irrational, and that's okay. But if what I've said to you so far makes sense, even if you don't agree with everything, but you think I'm making valid points, keep listening. Keep watching our videos. I'm not asking you to agree with me on everything. I don't think we should agree on everything, but we should have a similar thought process. And that's very difficult to do when you see stocks just go up for no apparent reason whatsoever. Which, speaking of crypto bros, it's funny to me when crypto goes up for no reason whatsoever, they're like, see, we were right. When it goes down, they're like, oh my God, how irrational is this? I'm like, okay, sounds good. Anyways, guys, this is where we are. If you like what we say, you want to learn a great process, this is the channel for you. If you want to check out a community of like-minded investors that gives you the software to make better investing decisions and have thousands of people to talk to, join our community, everythingmoney.com/sign up, or click on the link in the description below. Thank you very much for your time.